Did you know that Blumhouse has produced 4 feature-length movies that they released exclusively to Amazon Prime? 4 different directors, 4 different stories, 4 different standalone features. I like this idea because it gives brand new directors an opportunity with a modest budget to see what they can do. Just go into these knowing that you are watching mystery suspense thrillers, not straight horror movies. And I'm going to be deliberately vague in my critique because the strength of a mystery suspense thriller is the mystery, the twists, and the reveals. Let's talk about Black Box first. Black Box is about a father who has experienced a traumatic brain injury and is dealing with extreme memory loss. He goes to a doctor to try an experimental treatment and things don't go as planned. This was pretty much like a lost episode of Black Mirror. It was interesting, but not that great. As a matter of fact, I'm having a hard time reviewing it because it was so meh. Actually, I'm having a hard time recalling what happened in the movie because it was sort of forgettable. It's the type of movie that you play in the background while you're working on something else. I think it's because they tried to stretch the story out into a feature-length film when it really could have been told in 35 to 45 minutes. This is not a badly shot movie. It looks very good. The acting is good, and of course Felicia Rashad is there doing what Felicia Rashad does. And I'm really liking her in the second half of her career playing gotcha characters. Did you see her in A Fall from Grace? All in all, this movie was just okay. I'd be mad if I paid for it, but since I didn't pay for it, it's just, you know, alright. Man, that was a super short review. I wonder if I should just put all 4 of these into one review because these are going to be kind of short. But I'm going to be back in a moment to talk about The Lie. And we're back. Let's talk about The Lie. This tried so hard to be Hitchcockian, but it just missed the mark. The Lie is about a teenage girl who does something horrible and about the lengths that her parents will go to cover it up. Have you ever watched paint dry? Because I think it would be slightly more entertaining than this movie. If this burned any slower, it would be going backwards. The worst part is the whole family is unlikable. I was actually rooting for them to get caught. They were so aggravating, especially the daughter. And once again, just like the other movie, this story could have been told in 30 minutes. But again, not a bad looking movie. Obviously, Blumhouse gave them a couple dollars to work with. It's competently made as far as the lighting and cinematography. It does that color drain thing, which you guys know I do not like. But somebody must like it because they keep doing it. You can see the twist in this coming a mile away, so the payoff wasn't worth the wait, in my opinion. I actually don't really recommend this movie unless you want something to fall asleep to. And that was super short too, so I guess we might just move ahead. Might go and come back and talk about Nocturne. Or is it Nocturne? Nocturne? Nocturne. I say Nocturne. Let's get into Nocturne. This has like the simplest of premises. It's about a girl who wants to get into Juilliard by playing the piano, but her sister plays the piano better than her. And of course, her and her sister are the only 2 people that exist in her world, apparently. So she does something wicked to try to get the upper hand. And things don't turn out so well. I'm listening to this movie and wondering if the people who did the score knew what movie they were scoring. There were so many times during this movie where the score was just amping up and crescendoing and nothing was happening. Or I should say, nothing terrifying was happening on the screen, but the music would indicate that something terrifying was supposed to be happening on the screen. This movie really wanted to be something, and the bones of a better movie are there. They just missed the mark, and this was teetering right on the edge of being good. I felt like this movie wanted to be Starry Eyes, The Neon Demon, The Perfection that was on Netflix. And those two movies are just above mediocre to just alright at best. They aren't horrible, but they aren't great. They're just middling, okay. And this doesn't even live up to being okay. Quiet as it's kept, they're all just trying to be Black Swan, in my opinion. Everybody can't be Black Swan. As a matter of fact, if you put those movies in a blender and took out everything interesting or edgy about them, you'd get this boring PG version. This stars Sydney Sweeney, and she does alright with what she's given, although she hasn't been given much. And at the time of the filming of this video, I actually found out that she was in another movie on Tubi, which is much, much better than this movie. It's called Along Came the Devil. Watch her in that movie. It's a much better movie than this movie. Like I said at the beginning of this video, this is on Amazon Prime for free, so watch it if you feel like watching it, but if you miss it, you're not really missing much. Let's move on to the next one. The last movie that premiered in the Welcome to the Blumhouse series is called Evil Eye. This movie is about a woman who's nearing 30 years old, and she feels a lot of pressure from her mother to get married. She finally meets a guy, but he might not be the right one. I was interested in this one from the trailer because I really like that lead actress. I saw her in the Glow series, even though she wasn't given enough to do in that series. I always liked her as an actress, so when I saw her in a trailer, that immediately made me interested in seeing this. I'm really happy to see her take center stage. Out of these 4 movies, for me, this one was the least boring. Still a slow burn, but at least something is there to burn. I feel like I'm going to sound like a broken record, but again, this story could have been told in 45 minutes as well. I don't know why they just didn't find maybe 2 more stories and just make this an anthology series of 45-minute episodes, and then they all would have turned out much, much better. I really like the aesthetic of this movie. And when I say aesthetic, I mean the look and feel of this movie. The way it's filmed kind of reminded me of some of the ways that Parasite was filmed. Or it could have just been the decor of that house. Like, look at these 2 kitchens. They look very similar. I also like the touches in the story that highlight Indian culture, and more specifically, if I'm not mistaken, South Indian culture. Those touches make the characters feel more real for me. Like I said, out of the 4, I like this one the best. I don't think that you will be disappointed in it unless you're not into thriller movies. Once again, like I said, these are not straight horror movies. These are mystery suspense thrillers, which is a different genre. So to close this out, if I were to rank these from worst to best, worst would be The Lie. The next worst would be Nocturne, then Black Box, and then the best would be Evil Eye. If you've seen all 4, let me know what your worst to best list is. I'm really interested to see, because people like different things. I mean, that's why I have the sign off that I have. I always say, don't take my word for it, watch it yourself. Just because I love something doesn't mean you won't hate it, and just because I hate something doesn't mean you won't love it. Let me know what you thought of these movies if you got a chance to see them. Are you interested in seeing them? And how do you feel about mystery, suspense thrillers in general? Or are you just a straight horror fan? Let's talk about it in the comments. Bye.